Hey folks, how's it going? And welcome back to another Trepidation video. In this video, we are doing an update overview once again, except there are a bunch of update logs that I have not talked about whatsoever. For example, I never really showcased a new lobby. And the same thing goes for the survivor tutorial, the perk point system, the global leaderboards. So with this update overview video, I want to talk about all the older update logs and showcase what you may have missed over the months that you have not played Trepidation. Drop a like on this video, subscribe for more Trepidation in the future, and without much further ado, let's jump straight into the big features that you may have missed out on and that I have forgotten to talk about. The first feature that I have not showcased you at all is the new survivor tutorial. Uzi has completely revamped the survivor tutorial, as you can see right here. Press E to interact with your surroundings. I'll just walk through the tutorial whilst I talk about it essentially. So you can see right here that this tutorial has all the stuff you need to know in order to play Trepidation. You can see here, press F to toggle your flashlight. But basically it is not just like a huge wall of text anymore. You actually get to do stuff like fixing a gen, crouching through small passageways right here. You get to introduce to the puzzles properly, but you really do get properly introduced to all the mechanics in the game. If there's one thing I actually didn't know about the game, is that you can literally stealth around the enemies. I literally didn't know that if you didn't make any noise around those little creatures, the zombies for example, and the siren, they don't know that you're there unless you're in line of sight with them. I thought that they knew where you were regardless of whatever you tried, right? But it turns out you can literally just sneak past them. I found that really interesting. That was like one little detail that I had no idea of. Overall, this is a really solid tutorial, and if you are new to Trepidation or want to get into it, check out the game and go through the tutorial. It is slightly outdated though, because these key items don't really exist anymore, but more on that later. Now, the next new addition to the game is the new lobby right here. Morg and ASAP over on the Discord server have done a phenomenal job building this new and way bigger lobby. It looks so good. It's got a good atmosphere. We are in this like abandoned factory. There's just stuff everywhere, and overall the mood is this is just such a good lobby, dude. There's so much detail in it as well, and that is all I really have to say about this new lobby. There is a little thing that I want to show you if you didn't know about this yet, where you can actually get outside of it. Is if you go up here to the left of this balcony area and go up the staircase like so, you can jump onto this light and jump up here. And if you keep walking up against the wall here and get to this window, you can actually get out of the lobby, which I think is really, really funny. Ooh, wait, I actually got onto the roof? I didn't know you could do that. But yeah, you can get outside of the lobby, which I think is kind of funny. Now, alongside with the new lobby, in this update log, great skill checks were also added to objectives. So essentially how that works is you've got this green or yellow area now in the skill check success zone. But essentially, if you hit a great skill check, you add about 1% of progress to the objective, which is pretty nice. Then next up is the new Skeld map. Welcome to Skeld, everyone. We are on reactor right now. We are the slasher, so we get to see everything a little bit better. But this right here is the new map, or the newest map that was added to Trepidation. Now, if you played Among Us, you will definitely know the map layout. It is basically a hyper-futuristic version of that Skeld map. As you can see right here, there is engines. There's like these hallways. Right over here should be electrical, like so. Over here we have cafeteria. No, that's storage. I don't know my map apparently. This is storage. And down this hallway should be... What's this room again? I actually forgot the name of it. But here is the map as well in like a hologram. Over here should be cafeteria then. Yeah, that is correct. Lovely, lovely. You also notice that all the rooms are color coordinated. So all the hallways are green. This room right here, this is weapons. This is red. The engines are yellow, I mean. O2 is probably going to be a darker green. A brighter green, I mean. There we go. There's also a blue room, I'm pretty sure. I'm not sure what that room is called. So if you ever get lost, you'll be able to tell where you are by either the room itself or the color of the room. You will also have noticed that there are new puzzles. Over here we have wires. I think this is pretty self-explanatory, as you want to connect the red wire to the other end of the red wire. Same thing with the blue, pink, and yellow. You just want to connect those together. Over here we have the number sequence, and I think this is pretty straightforward as well. You want to click the numbers in order, so 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, etc, etc. And last but not least, the third puzzle is actually shields, where you want to make sure that all the hexagons are blue by clicking on them until they are all blue. But you will also notice when you try to do the puzzles, if you, for example, click this red hexagon, this one will turn blue, but this one will turn red, and so will this one. So they'll kind of like respond to each other. You will have to keep clicking until you get one red hexagon, and if you click that one, then you complete the puzzle. And then once you finish all the generators, in order to open the exit in cafeteria, you'll be doing reactor. You will get like squares on your screen, and you want to imitate the pattern with these little squares right here. But essentially, once you finish the reactor puzzle, the exit should be in cafeteria. The exit is this black box right there. Now, the cool thing about the Skeld map is that there's actually a chance that you can trigger an emergency. You do so by completing an objective, and I'm not really sure how small the chance is, but once you do, you will either get this emergency over here where you have to fill in a key code, or I think you need to go to reactor and press those little hand tablets. But that is all there is to Skeld right here. I think it's a really pretty map. For it being an old map, scrapped months ago due to changes in the game, and then being brought back like this, phenomenal stuff, phenomenal stuff. It's always good to have a new map, right? Next up on the list is the perk point system. The way that you now make your perk builds is completely different. As you can see right here already from the beginning, you are no longer restricted to having a max amount of 4 perks. Instead, you now have this little circle which says something out of 13, whatever it says for you. Essentially, how this now works is that you now have to spend perk points. You have a total of 13 perk points. I will go to another loadout to showcase this properly. And essentially how this works is that each perk is now worth an amount of perk points. For example, you can see that Strong Bonds is now 4 perk points, Ninja is 3 perk points, Medic is 4 perk points, and something like Night Vision could be 1 perk point. Every time you equip a perk, you are spending perk points, and the more perks you equip, the more perk points you spend, up until a point where you no longer have any points to spend. Essentially, you are now creating builds, keeping in mind how many perk points you are spending. Now that we are on the topic of perks, 9 new slasher perks were added as well in another update log. To be specific, Atomic Heart, Live Beast, No Way Out, Retribution, Hellseed Spider Eggs, Stockholm Syndrome, Unstoppable Force, Hellseed Echo Chamber, and Lacerate. Now that we are moving on from any perk related stuff, there are also global leaderboards now. You can see right here that there are certain categories for certain stuff, like you see the weekly survivor stuff here, the weekly slasher stuff here, and the win streak. But for each leaderboard, there were also buttons which you can click to view different statistics. For example, damage dealt, it'll show up right here. There's also stuff related to kills, to levels. I'm actually not quite sure. I haven't really checked it out too much, but most of the time the leaderboards don't really load in for me, so I can't really showcase right here. The leaderboards are pretty straightforward, and overall it is fun to just be on a leaderboard, right? The next part of this update log is the fact that the main menu has been reworked. You've already seen it by now. We've got this entire new bottom section here. The buttons have been slightly improved. and your currency actually shows up in the bottom left corner of your screen now. But the button for the inventory is now here, along with the daily rewards, tutorials, season rewards, career profile, settings, servers, and then the spectate button. And this thing in the middle right here is your slasher chance stuff, with not wanting to be slasher at all up to wanting to be the slasher, and then the 2 times and the 3 times slasher game passes. Now there were also changes made to the season rewards. There's nothing too major. The rewards have been slightly adjusted. The most notable thing here is that the skin reward has been moved from the gold tier to the ethereal tier. So if you want that exclusive skin now, you will be grinding for it essentially. And last but not least, there were some major dryer changes to make her a bit stronger and more consistent with her abilities. The exact changes and numbers and whatnot will be up on the screen. Now for the next update log, there are a bunch of gameplay changes. More notably with the objectives, because we had to say goodbye to the key items. They were wiped, they were gone, they're out now. What happened with the objectives is that they don't activate anymore. Well, not all of them at least. The round now starts off with 7 active objectives, and every time an objective has been completed, another random one will be activated. This goes on until there are 4 or 3 objectives left, right around the 2 gens left or 1 gen left mark. And so what puzzles do now is they add temporary progress. If you go on ahead and get an example round here of Survivor, you will now see a top bar with a percentage between brackets. And you see that the bar is divided into separate, like, sections. Every section is equal to a generator. And so every time an objective is completed, you will see the bar fill up with blue. Now, what puzzles do is they add temporary progress. And you will see that temporary progress in that bar in purple. Survivors can add temporary progress by doing said puzzles, but the slasher can also take that progress away by downing survivors. So it's kind of an uphill battle between the 2 parties. Along with this new objective change, the village map is now ensured to have more vaults with the tile generation. Some survivor changes were also made. Movement speed penalty for the mine has been reduced by 50%. There's also a flashbang change where the resistance duration has been increased from 12 to 20 seconds. And then we get to a lot of slasher changes. Now I will be putting them up on screen and showing you every single change for every slasher that was made. But what should be noted is that these changes were made to make the slasher role a lot less frustrating. Next update log introduced player emotes. You can find the player emotes under the animations tab of the survivors tab, right under this smiley right here. You can see right here that a bunch of emotes were added that you can purchase with your hard-earned cash. Just to give you an example of a few emotes, let me boost my volume here. Moving on to the next update log, we get a shop rework. Look at this. This is so good. You've got this right here, which I'm pretty sure is going to be stuff that you can buy with Robux, like maybe skin bundles. You've also got options down here now for coins that you can buy with Robux. You can also just quickly buy crates in this little feature tab. This is the feature tab, by the way. But here, you can now also find the enter codes input. So if you have a code that you want to claim, you can now do it in the shop. Speaking of codes, if you haven't made it this far into the video, lucky you, because there is a code going on right now. It is limited and will expire on the 1st of December. And this code right here is Thankful 2024. Now, what this code gives you is it gives you 10 slasher crates with an additional bonus crate as well. So if you haven't claimed this code yet, get to it before it's gone. There's also this crates tab now. This is the tab that you are familiar with, except it has been reworked a little bit with a better looking crate, and the legendary and mythical crates now require you to spend your legendary or mythical shards. The same thing goes for the weapon crates over here as well. And you can press this little button in the top right corner here to check out the drop rates for each crate. The drop rates were slightly modified for all the crates. And then the coins tab is also, or should be, quite familiar to you. You can still buy coins here as per usual. And with that, we have now talked about all the big features that have come out recently in Trepidation over the past few months in this update overview video. If you found it useful, please let me know by dropping a like on this video. And if you're new around these parts and want more Trepidation content from me in the future, please do go ahead and consider hitting that subscribe button. Thank you so much for watching, folks, and I shall see you in my next Trepidation video. Take care.